And welcome to the Education Forum. I will start with Mr. Almame Kinte. Mr. Kinte, can you tell us what the mandate, activities and programs of the National Training Authority are?
Thank you very much, Mr. Bach. But first of all, it will be a pleasure to inform the audience that the National Training Authority, that is the call it as NTA, is established by the NTA Act, which is promulgated by the National Assembly in 2002, and the office was established in 2003. Our mandates, the Act specifies, are as follows. We register and accredited all the TVET institutions, that is the technical, vocational, education and training institutions in the country. We also monitor and assess them. We develop standards, that is occupational standards. We are mandated by the Act to make sure that we develop standards for all the occupations that is happening in the country. We also develop a qualification framework. The Act has given us that mandate to come up with a qualification framework. And I'm happy to report that we have developed a qualification framework, that is the Gambia Skill Qualification Framework. And that policy document, we have developed the Gambia Skills Qualification. This is a qualification that we have benchmarked to international standards, and it is now in force. We want to have our own qualification.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kinte, for giving us an insight into the mandate of the National Training Authority, and that is the institution that registers and accredits institutions. Mr. Babu Sise, can you tell us how you go about the registration and accreditation of institutions?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Ba. But before going into the registration and accreditation proper, I would just want to dwell on what Mr. Kinte have just said about the mandate of the NTA, to just give us a brief summary of the mandate, that is to regulate, monitor, and supervise all technical, vocational, educational training institutions in the country, be it public or private. In that, the regulatory part and the monetary aspect is where the registration and accreditation unit comes into play. Part 3 of Section 14 of the NTA Act states that for the effective execution of the functions of the authority, the board shall establish a training standards lead body which shall develop and promote minimum standards, principles, criteria, and systems for registration and accreditation, monitoring and evaluation of assessment and training centers. In short, all training providers, these are the training institutions, and trainers, assessors, and verifiers must be registered and accredited by the registration and accreditation lead body before operating within the TVET sector in the country. In 2006, the registration and accreditation unit was established as a result of TVET reforms that Mr. Kinte have just talked about, and the introduction of the Gambia Skills Qualifications Framework. The registration and accreditation unit also is governed by a policy document which outlines the authorities and guidance and with respect to qualifications framework as stated in the NTA Act 2003. When we talk about the registration and accreditation, one must not also leave quality assurance. And the quality assurance concepts and guidelines has also significant prominence in the registration and accreditation unit, and is at the forefront in ensuring quality in all that we do at the NTA. All applications for registration and accreditations are reviewed by what we call the registration and accreditation lead body. Like I earlier mentioned, the training standards lead body, which the board do normally establish. And their recommendations are sent to the Director General National Training Authority for final approval. And to ensure fairness and rules of natural justice, this body comprises of people outside the NTA. Currently, its membership consists of a member from the National Assembly Select Committee on Education, the Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry, who are currently serving as the chair of this body. They have a representative from the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, a member from the Ministry of Trade, a member from the Personnel Management Office and the Office of the President, and then a member from the Inspector General of Police. He's also having a representative, and then a member from the Manufacturers Association. I mean, these are the people that review applications for registration and accreditation for all stakeholders within Tibet. Those that are offering the services. That these are the training institutions, trainers, assessors, and verifiers. So basically, these are the people, the membership for this training standards lead body. So all training institutions, they do go through a criteria for registration and accreditation. And I think I will come in when, we have completed introducing ourselves, the various units, to explain what are the standards for the registration and accreditation for training institutions, for trainers, verifiers, and assessors.
Yeah, before that, in the process of registration and accreditation, can you tell us what benchmarks you use? What are the benchmarks used in the process?
Like Mr. Kinte have just said, these standards are benchmarked with European standards, because with the advent of the GSQF, that is the Gambia Skills Qualifications, we have technical assistance from the European Union that came in to assist us in developing our standards. They have conducted feasibility studies in Senegal, Ghana, Botswana, South Africa, before coming up with the GSQ. And what we perceive to be a good practice, we are taking from this country, and then we are able to develop the GSQ. And the RNA, that is the registration and accreditation, is no exception for this benchmarking. All training institutions that we are existing at the time were all invited to a workshop to develop these standards for the registration and accreditation. Notwithstanding, we are not imposing quality on training institutions. We are rather asking them to take ownership of quality, because if you don't own quality, there is no way that you can deliver quality. So that is the reason why we deem it fitting to ensure that they also participate in the development of these standards. So they all participated. Those are the institutions that we are operating at the time, over 130 training institutions at the time. So they're all participating in developing the standards and validated it. So these standards, as you have asked, include, for the registration of training institution, consists of 7 components. You must be a legal entity, you must have clear structures, you must have a purpose, a clear purpose, you must be financially viable, you must serve the interests of the trainees, that these are the students, you must serve the interests of your own people, that is the staff working within the institution, and then above all, you must be committed to quality.